Running a solo wellness business today is, it's always painted as this ultimate dream of independence.
Right. Oh, totally. The whole be your own boss thing.
Exactly. You get to set your own hours, you build out your own physical space, you're in charge. But for you, the listener, whether you're a non-technical founder in the trenches right now or just an endlessly curious learner, well, you probably know the exhausting reality behind that dream.
Yeah, the reality is a lot less glamorous.
It really is. I mean, you might be absolutely brilliant at your craft, but suddenly you wake up and realize you aren't just an esthetician or a massage therapist anymore. You are suddenly like a front desk receptionist.
And a social media manager.
Right, and an accountant and a web developer. You end up constantly drowning in Instagram DMs, dealing with the financial hit of last-minute no-shows, and playing this never-ending game of calendar Tetris.
Calendar Tetris, that is the perfect way to describe it, because the cognitive load of that administrative side, it's just staggering.
Oh, I bet.
The overarching theme in the wellness industry is basically a massive bait and switch. A founder goes into business to work with their hands, to directly help clients, and they end up spending like 40% of their time staring at a scheduling grid.
Answering text messages at 10 o'clock at night.
Exactly. It completely dilutes the focus on the actual human craft.
And that operational drag, that's exactly what brings us to the stack of sources for today's deep dive. We've gotten our hands on a really fascinating trove of internal product overviews, architecture documents, and some incredibly detailed user personas for a new platform called Kirah.
Yeah, and right off the bat, the documentation explicitly distances itself from the entire software category of basic calendar apps.
Which is bold.
It is, but they make it clear this is not just another scheduling grid with a fresh coat of paint.
No, definitely not. So the mission for this deep dive is to explore exactly what makes Kirah radically different from ordinary booking software. Things like Square or Vagaro or Gloss Genius. We're going to uncover how it functions as a true AI business operator.
Which is a huge distinction.
Huge. We'll unpack its discovery flywheel, this really intense safety-coded approval system it uses, and why its underlying architecture forms an uncopyable moat against competitors. So, okay, let's unpack this. Traditional booking software treats the schedule itself as the core product.
Right. It basically just hands you an empty grid.
Exactly. But Kirah treats getting discovered, booked, and rebooked as the product.
And that shift in philosophy is, well, it's the crucial pivot. Traditional tools are essentially just empty databases where the founder has to do all the heavy lifting. You build the menu, you do the data entry, you run the marketing.
Maybe bolt on some generic email templates as an afterthought.
Yeah, if you're lucky. But Kirah is designed from the ground up to actually run the machine for you. The documents outline this core primitive that is just mind-blowing for a non-technical founder.
Oh, you mean the onboarding flow?
Yeah. You literally just describe your practice in a single sentence, or you drop in a link to your existing Instagram profile, and the system just handles the rest.
Okay, the extraction pass on that Instagram URL absolutely caught my eye. The AI sanitizes the link, pulls the brand vibe, infers the service categories, and instantly generates a live, bookable site.
Instantly.
And the architecture docs note this uses they call it a no fabrication safe rendering system, meaning if it finds a testimonial but there's no star rating attached to it, the AI physically cannot hallucinate or fake a 5-star graphic.
That's such an important guardrail.
Right. If an image URL is broken, it drops the image entirely rather than generating a placeholder that just looks wrong. It builds the site using a strict design system of 14 section types, like galleries, FAQs, team spotlights, and suddenly, boom, the foundation of the business is live.
And from there, the founder manages everything through a single conversational input called Talk to Kirah.
Which is wild.
They can type commands or just use browser voice input to ask for changes while they're literally like sweeping up or cleaning their studio.
We really see the practical value of that interface when we look at the user personas detailed in the docs. Take Bree, for example. She's a 27-year-old lash artist. Her entire income model depends on a strict 2 to 3 week fill cycle.
Right. Lash extensions need constant maintenance.
Exactly. Her appointments take 2 straight hours, and during that time, she is physically hunched over.
Holding sharp tweezers.
Yes, holding sharp metal tweezers an inch from a client's taped open eyes. She physically cannot pick up a phone to answer a DM about availability.
And in that industry, leads go cold in what, 30 minutes?
If Bree doesn't reply to a potential new client immediately, that client just scrolls to the next lash artist on Instagram and sends the exact same message.
It's gone.
Gone.
Mm-hmm.
Or consider the persona of Daniel, a 41-year-old massage therapist doing deep tissue clinical work. By the end of an 8-hour day, his hands physically ache.
Oh, absolutely.
He also actively dislikes technology. The absolute last thing he wants to do is sit at a laptop at 7 in the evening and play receptionist to chase down unconfirmed appointments.
So for founders like Bree and Daniel, Kirah is engineered to act as a 24/7 front desk. It uses AI chat on the website and even text and voice through an integration called Retell to answer specific questions and book clients.
And it does it in the business's own distinct voice.
All while the founder is literally mid-session with someone else.
I have to admit, when I first read about the automated responses,
Uh-huh.
I had some initial pushback.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I thought, wait, isn't it just a glorified chatbot taped to a scheduling grid? We've all interacted with those terrible, frustrating customer service bots that just loop you back to a main menu.
Oh, they're the worst.
But diving into the actual mechanics, it's a completely different paradigm. It sounds like traditional software is just handing you an empty filing cabinet and telling you to get to work.
Good luck. Yeah.
Right. Whereas Kirah is hiring a hyper-competent office manager who already set up the files based on your Instagram, answers the phone using your specific terminology, and taps you on the shoulder only when they need a final signature.
The jump from a reactive tool to a proactive operator is significant. The model proposes the actions, and the founder just approves them. But if we extend that office manager analogy, there is a glaring limitation.
Okay, what's that?
Well, a fantastic office manager sitting at a desk doing paperwork cannot magically make the phone ring.
Oh, right. Setting up a beautiful booking site doesn't mean anyone will actually visit it.
Exactly.
So if the AI is running the back office, how does a solo practitioner actually get found by new clients in the first place?
Well, Kirah shifts the entire burden of marketing and SEO off the founder's shoulders by using a deeply integrated data structure designed for what they call GEO, Generative Engine Optimization.
Okay, meaning getting recommended by AI search engines.
Yeah.
Like when someone opens ChatGPT or Perplexity and asks, who does a really good deep tissue massage near me?
Yes, exactly. But to understand how Kirah accomplishes that, we have to look at how AI search engines process information, which is, entirely different from how humans do. A human wants a pretty website with photos. An AI agent wants clean, structured data. Kirah projects the business's data outward using a standard called schema.org JSON-LD.
The documentation refers to this as the business graph, right?
Yes, it is a machine-readable manifest, specifically hosted at a .well-known/Kirah.json URL on the tenant site.
Wait, so it's literally just a hidden file on the website?
Basically, yeah. And it explicitly tells external AI agents exactly what the business does, what their real-time hours are, and the exact API path to book a slot.
Wow.
And it does all this without the external LLM having to guess or scrape a visual website.
It is serving the AI exactly the format it wants to consume. That makes so much sense. But then there's the inward-facing side of the discovery problem, which the docs call the discovery graph.
Right.
This relies on a semantic matcher, and this is where we get into the psychology of how a client actually searches for wellness services. The system operates on a strict conceptual chain.
Need to capability to expression to evidence.
Yes. What's fascinating here is that this entirely bypasses traditional keyword matching.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is that in old school SEO, if a client searched for back pain, a rudimentary search engine might accidentally match them to a page where a business asked for feedback.
Just because the letters BACK appeared in the word?
Exactly. It was just matching text strings. Kirah doesn't do that. It uses PG vector embeddings and cosine similarity to match the actual semantic meaning of the words.
Okay, let's break down those technical terms and make them concrete for the listener. Because, how does an AI actually know what a phrase means without just matching the letters?
Okay, so think of PG vector embeddings as a massive three-dimensional map where every concept and word in the English language is suspended like a star in a galaxy.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Words with similar meanings are physically grouped closer together in this mathematical space. So the phrase knots in my traps is plotted as a specific coordinate. Deep tissue massage is plotted as another coordinate. Because they are conceptually related, they exist in the same neighborhood on this 3D map.
Oh, that's really cool.
And cosine similarity is simply the mathematical formula the system uses to measure the short physical distance between those 2 points, realizing they are a match.
The translation aspect there is really compelling. The client searches, I have knots in my traps. That is the need or the plain language expression.
Because the client doesn't know the clinical terminology.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Kirah's semantic matcher plots that point on the map, calculates the distance, and routes that plain language pain directly to Daniel's clinical deep tissue massage, which represents the capability part of the chain.
Yes.
And finally, it backs up that recommendation with specific reviews, which fulfills the evidence portion.
It effectively bridges the vocabulary gap. The client speaks purely in symptoms, while the professional speaks in clinical treatments.
It's like having a highly skilled bilingual medical translator sitting between the two of them.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, the client walks in speaking the language of pain and physical symptoms. The business menu speaks the language of clinical modalities, and Kirah translates perfectly between the two. So the client lands on the exact service they need.
And that evidence piece of the chain, the reviews, is critical for closing the loop. Kirah runs the review collection process automatically after the appointment.
But it doesn't just ask for a generic 5-star rating, does it?
No, because algorithms often ignore those. It harvests highly specific reviews, prompting the client to name the exact treatment they received and the specific outcome.
Oh, wow.
Search algorithms massively reward this structured density. And then Kirah's AI drafts an on-brand reply to that review for the owner to approve with a single tap.
Okay, so the discovery flywheel is spinning. We've mapped the client's plain English pain to a clinical service. The semantic matcher has translated it, and the client has verified the evidence through structured reviews. But bridging that vocabulary gap doesn't matter if the client never actually shows up to the appointment. How do we get them in the chair, protect the owner's highly perishable time, and keep that client coming back?
Well, getting ghosted by a new client is financially devastating for these solo operators. Let's revisit Maya, an independent esthetician persona in the documents.
Okay.
She pays $350 a week just to rent her physical suite. If she experiences a no-show, her rent is still due. She simply absorbs the loss.
That's brutal.
Or consider Renee, a med spa owner who has a $200,000 laser machine sitting completely idle if a high-value appointment falls through at the last minute.
Literally a $200,000 piece of equipment turning into a paperweight because someone forgot to check their calendar.
Exactly. To solve this vulnerability, Kirah heavily utilizes deposits and strict no-show protection policies powered by Stripe Connect. But the strategic move here, and this is a massive operational differentiator, is that Kirah makes deposits free on every single tier of their software.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. If competitors like Vagaro and others are out there gating deposits behind premium paid plans, essentially making founders pay more money to protect the money they're already trying to make.
Which is crazy.
Totally crazy. So why is Kirah giving this core financial protection away for free? Reading between the lines of the business strategy, Kirah's goal isn't to nickel and dime the individual booking transaction. They're making a larger ecosystem play.
Right.
They want to become the undeniable central nervous system of the entire business.
Yes. By removing the friction from deposits, they ensure every tenant uses them. And if Kirah controls your discovery, processes your booking, secures your deposits, and manages your reviews, they transition from being an optional software expense to being invisible, indispensable infrastructure.
And another feature built into that infrastructure is sex slot booking.
Oh, I love this feature.
It's so smart. When a client books an appointment, they have the option to check a box indicating their schedule is flexible, which allows them to pre-approve 2 to 5 alternate time slots throughout the week.
Okay.
Then, if a brand new client comes along and wants that exact original time, the system steps in. It automatically bumps the flexible client to one of their pre-approved alternates, rewards that flexible client with loyalty points for accommodating the business, and secures the new client in the prime slot.
It is automatic calendar optimization happening entirely in the background. It densely packs the scheduling grid, maximizing revenue without the owner having to negotiate over text message.
Because negotiating that manually takes hours. Flex slots are incredible for maximizing the calendar for new clients, but acquiring a new client is historically the most expensive part of running any business.
Oh, by far.
How does the system ensure Maya isn't constantly having to replace churned clients who just drift away?
Retention is handled through a feature they call loyalty streaks, which tracks consecutive on-time rebookings. This is medically vital for a persona like Priya, the facialist, who primarily treats severe acne. Acne requires a strict protocol, usually a 12-week journey. If the client doesn't come back on time, the treatment fundamentally fails, and Priya's reputation suffers.
Yeah, because the client just says, oh, it didn't work. But the documentation points out a brilliant nuance here. The streaks pause.
Yes.
They never reset to zero just because a client went to Hawaii for 2 weeks or caught a cold. It is built for the reality of the wellness world.
It's a supportive mechanism.
Exactly. It says, hey, you're still on track with your skincare routine, rather than a punitive system that says you missed a week and lost all your points.
And the mechanism behind how the system tracks those streaks is just as important. The analytics dashboard is SQL grounded.
Meaning what, exactly?
Meaning it relies on hard, server-side database facts. It does not rely on an LLM to guess or hallucinate your conversion rates or to guess which clients have lapsed. It uses deterministic mathematical queries to accurately detect gaps in the schedule and trigger the appropriate retention campaigns.
Right. But relying on an AI operator to manage all of this introduces a massive layer of risk.
Huge risk.
If an AI is running the central nervous system of a business, handling actual money via Stripe, moving clients around on a calendar with flex slots, and talking directly to people on the internet, what happens when the AI hallucinates?
Yeah, what prevents it from accidentally dropping a deep tissue massage price to a single dollar?
Or worse, permanently deleting the founder's entire client list.
This raises an important question about multi-tenant data safety. That risk is the existential dread of every founder looking at AI tools right now.
Totally.
Kirah's architectural moat is designed specifically to mitigate this. Their entire safety philosophy is built on one unshakable rule: model proposes, server enforces.
Okay, break down the mechanics of how that rule actually functions.
So the architecture splits the software into two completely distinct planes. Plane one is operational execution. These are actions taken on live data, like booking or canceling a specific appointment on the calendar.
Okay, plane one is operational.
Right. Plane two is configuration. This dictates how the app behaves, its rules, its prices, its branding. Kirah's engineering genius is that a tenant's entire application configuration is stored as just a single JSON config row in a database. They call this principle config is data.
Let's use an analogy here. The app isn't a complex, tangled web of traditional computer code that the AI has to rewrite. It's basically a digital checklist, a text file.
Precisely like a digital checklist. When the AI wants to alter the business, say changing the color scheme of the website or updating a service price, it cannot change the live application directly.
Okay.
It must submit a validated JSON patch to merge into that master config row. And because the app is just data, the system automatically takes a backup snapshot before every single change is applied. Meaning, undo is literally a one-click snapshot restore.
That is incredibly reassuring for a non-technical founder. If the AI messes up the website's layout, you literally hit undo and the entire application rolls back to exactly what it looked like 3 seconds ago.
Yep, instantly.
But how do they stop the AI from doing something irreversible to the operational data in the first place?
That is handled through strict governance zones. Every single request the AI makes is classified into a specific zone before any data is ever written to the database.
The docs list these as the green, yellow, and red zones.
Yeah. The green zone is for reversible content. Minor copy tweaks, changing a website theme. These auto-apply and are simply logged for review.
Makes sense.
The yellow zone, however, covers anything touching behavior or money. Deposit rules, cancellation policies, booking logic. Yellow changes are only ever proposed. They sit in a pending queue, waiting for the human owner to tap approve.
The documentation was screaming this point. The booking catalog is always yellow.
Always.
Services, prices, durations. The AI is structurally incapable of quietly changing how much a founder charges.
It is physically impossible under the system's rules. And finally, you have the red zone. These areas are permanently off-limits to the AI. Authentication protocols, payment routing keys, database schemas, and crucially, other tenants' data. The AI will instantly refuse to even process these requests.
Let's dig into that last point about other tenants' data, because if an AI agent is supposedly editing the app and it's interacting with a massive database housing thousands of businesses, how do we mathematically guarantee it doesn't accidentally leak Maya, the esthetician's private client list, to Daniel, the massage therapist?
Right, because we've all seen news stories about AI jailbreaks bypassing safety prompts.
Exactly.
This is where the architecture relies on row-level security, or RLS. The separation of the businesses is not handled by the AI's logic, and it's not even handled by the application code remembering to filter the data.
Oh, really?
Yeah, think of application-level filtering like putting a sticky note on a file folder that says, AI, please do not read this.
Like jailbreak could easily ignore the sticky note.
Exactly. RLS operates at the absolute bedrock database level. The Postgres database itself acts as a physical bouncer. The data is locked in a vault that physically will not open without the exact cryptographic key for that specific tenant.
Wow.
Even if the AI agent was somehow hijacked, bypassed the yellow and red zones, and explicitly commanded to fetch another business's data, the database would physically block the read operation at the server level.
So the AI agents, the docs, list them as specialized bots, like the extractor, the verifier, the interviewer, the reflector, and the suggester.
Yeah.
They're actually entirely toothless on their own.
Completely toothless.
They can only output JSON text proposals. The server does all the rigorous validation and actual execution. It reminds me of an eager junior architect.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, the AI is this junior architect constantly running up to you with blueprints saying, hey, I designed this new extension for the house. But the server is this strict city building inspector checking the blueprints against the physical laws of the database. The AI literally cannot build a single wall itself. It can only ask for permission. And you, the business owner, sit in the ultimate approval seat holding the big red stamp.
The building inspector analogy captures the model proposes. Server enforces dynamic perfectly. And because every single blueprint proposal, approval, and refusal is captured in an append-only changelog, nothing is ever erased.
Which is great for auditing.
It creates an incredibly rich audit trail for the founder, but more importantly, it fuels the AI's learning loop. Over time, the AI learns your specific operational preferences based on what you approve and what you undo, becoming a more and more tailored operator for your specific business.
It's an operator that gets smarter and more aligned with your style the longer you employ it. That's just wild. So let's bring this all together. We've gone through a lot of dense technical material from vector databases to row-level security, but the strategic through line is incredibly clear.
It really is.
Kirah isn't a calendar. It's a proactive business operator. It solves the discovery problem by feeding structured JSON LD data to AI search engines and using a semantic matcher to mathematically translate a client's pain into bookable services.
Right.
It solves the revenue problem by utilizing ecosystem-driven free deposits, pausing loyalty streaks to maintain treatment protocols, and intelligently optimizing the grid with flex slots. And it solves the safety problem by treating the app as a single JSON file governed by green, yellow, and red zones, backed by the physical vault of database-level security.
And the cumulative effect of all these systems fundamentally changes the job description of the wellness founder. You don't have to be a digital marketer, a late-night receptionist, and a software administrator anymore.
No. So for you, the listener, the ultimate takeaway is clear. The era of the solo founder wearing 15 different administrative hats is rapidly coming to an end.
Thanks.
Yeah. The competitive advantage in the wellness space is no longer about who can hustle the hardest on Instagram DMs, or who has the most complex email marketing funnel. The advantage goes to those who let machines handle the machine work, so they can focus entirely on the human craft. You get to just be the massage therapist or the facialist again.
Because in a wellness business, the physical human touch is the one core product that cannot be automated. Everything surrounding it, however, absolutely can be.
So what does this all mean for the future of the industry? We've talked extensively about how human clients find the business through AI search engines, asking ChatGPT for recommendations. But let's project this underlying architecture out just a few years.
Okay, let's do it.
What happens when the client themselves is an AI?
Oh, wow.
Because Kirah projects that machine-readable manifest outward onto the internet, we are looking at a very near future where a client's personal AI assistant negotiates directly with Kirah's AI operator to book a massage.
That's entirely possible.
The client's AI checks availability, verifies the semantic need against the clinical capability, and processes the strike deposit, entirely invisible to both humans, until the human client literally walks through the studio door for their appointment.
Mind-blowing.
Is the future of wellness completely human to human, just brokered entirely by machines communicating in the background, something for you to mull over?
Yeah.